Hey guys, this is Ash. This is one of the dumped puppies that were on the road by my house 3 months ago. This chica is now over 30 pounds, and her sister's right behind her. One of my questions to the 10 question collaboration was basically, in the gist of it was, how does sugar affect the products that we buy that have sugar in it? Should we be eating them? If not, how does it affect us? I'm not going to really focus on not, because we can't get away from a lot of that. If you're not buying grass-fed organic stuff all the time, which a lot of us can't afford that. I mean, let's face it, we live in a time now where a lot of people are just barely making it. So I do buy stuff that may have traces of sugar in it that doesn't have sugar. Like, I'll buy a single slice spiral cut ham so I can make the big sliced ham, and I'll just put pizza toppings on it, and I'll fry it in a skillet, and I'll use the ham layer as my pizza crust, and then everything that's on top, and it will say that it has dextrose in it. But when I look at the amount per serving, it may say less than 1 gram per serving. And if I look at how many are in one slice, I might have 12 to 18 grams of what could accumulate as sugar. You don't know that it's exactly 1 gram. It says less than 1 gram per serving, and you might have one slice that is less than so if 16 ounces is a pound, it'll say less than 1 gram per 2 ounces. So if 16 ounces is a pound and we divide that by 2, then we can safely say that 8, let's see, so in a situation like that, I would have probably less than 8 grams of sugar. What sucks is we don't have an exact number. So I have to account for that in my day. I try to stay I try to stay less than 20 carbs. So even though it's less than 1 gram and it does say that it has dextrose in it, it's fairly safe to say as long as I still keep it under 20, I'll be fine. I try not to do that all the time. I try not to get stuff that has been preserved or that has any kind of sugar. So when I do that, I definitely account for it. And on those days, I might even try to stay as low under my carb count as possible. I want my sugar, if anything, to come from complex sources. I don't want it to come from simple sources. Is it going to kill me? No. Is there going to be a huge health side effect or whatever from doing it? No, it's not. I just try to make sure I get my stuff from as clean sources as possible. Can you have sugar on a ketogenic diet? Sure. Carbohydrates are basically a complex form of sugar. It's just extra chains added to it to make it a carbohydrate. Simple forms of sugar, I will not consume them at all. I try not to anyway. And even though the preservation process of meat and extending the shelf life and stuff of it by adding sugar to it would be more of a simple form, I make an exception for that because I can't always buy grass-fed everything. I can't always buy organic everything. So I do know that there is some sugar in it, but I definitely account for it. There's nothing that says you cannot have that stuff. There are some people that are more well off. They're more fortunate. They can afford organic, grass-fed, non-processed, non-nitrate stuff all the time. But that doesn't mean that you, on your journey, you can't be successful with having some of it sometimes. The other form of sugar would be fructose that I may have sometimes, but it's every once in a great while. The fructose that I may have is natural sources that come from low glycemic berries, and I won't even have a lot of them, and I do account for them. I'll make sure on the day that I have that stuff that maybe I'm having a 0 carb day, and the only source of carb or sugar that I'm having is coming from a half a cup of berries or maybe a cup of berries, depending on what berry it is and how it will affect me. Most of the time, honestly, I'm a meat eater. I eat meat, I eat cheese, I eat bacon, I eat ground sausage. I eat things that are very low carb as it is, Eggs do have some kind of carb count to them, but I'm not so worried about that. So to answer your question, can you have sugar on a ketogenic diet that comes from food? As long as you keep it under your tolerance. You can consider sugar a carb, because it is. A carb or sugar. They are in the same family. They affect your glycemic index almost the same. Sugar is always processed by the body first, and then carbohydrates are second. So I try to make sure that I have as low sugar as possible. Anytime that you have sugar, you're secreting insulin. You have an insulin response, and the more you have to secrete insulin, the more you become you become resistant to processing sugar and processing or utilizing insulin correctly. So I try to have as low carb, as low sugar as possible, and then I know that I'm not making myself insulin sensitive. I'm not making myself insulin resistant. I'm keeping myself in a sensitive state, which that's what I want. I want my body to be able to react to sugar appropriately, and I want my body to be able to be sensitive to sugar and insulin, because anytime you're resistant to something, that means your body has stopped being able to utilize it properly. So I hope I've answered your question in a respectable way. Yes, you are allowed to have some sugar as long as you keep it in your carb tolerance, and you should be fine. Some people have metabolically destroyed themselves so much that they almost have to be on a straight carnivorous diet in order to fix themselves, in order to re-heal their gut, because the complex carbs, the simple carbs, the complex forms of where sugar could come from, where simple sugars could come from, can reintroduce a lot of inflammatory action, and that's something that you may want to stay away from. I know I admin a group, our carnivorous group, where they are heavy into no veggies, no nothing, and a lot of them people have spoke about healing themselves from intolerances to sugar and carb just by being on a carnivorous diet for an extended amount of time. Because one of the main healing factors for your gut is vitamin B12, which you get plenty of through meat, and your really strong amino acid complex. And within weeks, if not just a couple months, a lot of people talk about the inflammation and stuff in their body being down. Sugar is very, very inflammatory. Secreting insulin and intaking sugar and stuff like that can cause certain skin problems, can cause certain fatty conditions inside your organs. Secreting or using excessive sugar can cause collagen breakdown and stuff in the body, which then can lead to inflammation in the joints, somewhat of a sagging skin condition. So I try to stay away from sugar as much as I possibly can, because I want my body to be able to utilize the main amino acid complex or collagen source in my body without having it destroyed by having excessive amounts of sugar. So you'll be fine if you have some of it. It's not the end of the world. We all can't be perfect, and we all don't have the money to buy the most expensive pure organic type stuff, grass-fed stuff, free-range stuff. So you have to make your journey your journey. So if you consume stuff with sugar in it, just make sure you account for it. Make sure you keep it under your carb tolerance, and just realize your sugar and your carbs do fit under the same category, because they're essentially the same thing. They're just slightly different, but they do account for the same thing. All right, I hope that answers your question. If you want me to further clarify anything, just please reach out to me and ask me, and I'll do the best that I can to get back to you. I hope this sheds light on anything for anybody. If you're new here, please subscribe. I have a lot of people that are affiliated with this group, and they're awesome, very knowledgeable people. I network with them daily, and I feel like you guys could benefit from the content that comes from me and the people that you see me communicating with and messaging back and forth. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Hit the little bell. You'll get notifications when I make videos, and you may even see other people pop up on my videos where you get to enjoy their content as well. Alright guys, I really appreciate it. God bless, and keto on. Thank you.